Hello, Frizzle Falcons. Let's get right into this, shall we? Whispers Underground Book 3 first. We follow Peter Grant, member of the London Magic Police, aka the Folly, as he investigates a suspicious death, leads him to having many underground adventures through tube stations and sewers and all of the above. I don't have a whole lot to say about this book. I thought the plot was interesting, but the mystery wasn't super strong. What I really did love, though, was that Leslie is back fully on the team. I love her as a character. She is so complex and beautiful. And seeing her slow arc, especially over these 3 books, was fantastic, and I will get into that more as I talk about the next book, Broken Homes. But for London Underground, I even started shipping Peter and Leslie even harder. Because I love their banter, I love how their personalities support each other, I love how good of friends they are, yes, please. And in book 3, we also got to know Peter a little bit better and see his inner nerd and history and architecture geek coming out to the surface. That he's not just all snark, he's also very smart, geeky, nerdy as well, and that is also me, so I relate pretty hard. And then moving on to book 4, which I've got a little bit more to say about. So in this book, Peter and Leslie go undercover to again investigate various mysterious magical shenanigans. And throughout their time together, there's a lot of relationship tension. There was this one scene that I adored, where Peter realizes that Leslie has been having this boyfriend on the side. And then she kind of asks him, like, what? Why do you care? You know, like, are you jealous? Do you care about me? Would you want to? And then Peter pretends like the answer is no. And that interaction of seeing how much Peter does care, but seeing how he doesn't want to admit it, for a myriad of factors driven primarily by Leslie is now disfigured, and part of that is Peter's fault, and he feels guilty about it and uncomfortable with it still. And then also, they're just still co-workers, like before when they decided that they shouldn't get romantically involved because they were co-workers. But just because Peter doesn't want to admit that he loves Leslie doesn't mean that that's still not the truth, and doesn't mean that it hurts any less when Leslie betrays Team Folly. That was such a moment. And the wonderful part about it is that it was set up so carefully to give her very probable motivations to betray the team. She has been physically disfigured terribly on her face. She's very bitter about this and uncomfortable with the situation in general. The evil magician that they're fighting has shown that he has the power to change people's looks, to do body modifications. So, of course he would try to lure Leslie to his side with promises. And of course, she would end up saying yes because this is something that is so dear to her heart. And of course, this hurts Peter so much. And that is the juicy angst I am here for. It is like all the drama I ever wanted in a book, slowly building the pieces, building their relationship over 4 books into something richer and complex. And something that neither of them really even knows what it is, something in between romantic attraction and a deep friendship and uncomfortableness because they're not sure where to go. And then to see that betrayed and come crashing down, but that doesn't mean that they care about each other any less. It was so good. This is what sold me on the series. This is the moment where I really, really fell in love with the series. There were a few other smaller moments, but that was the moment when I saw that the author, Ben Aaronovitch, really wasn't afraid of making his character suffer like that. But it would have all been for naught if the landing wasn't sticked. But book 5, Foxglove Summer, sticks the landing which came in the heels of book 4. Because book 5, Foxglove Summer, is in a large part an exploration of what this betrayal has done to Peter emotionally, and that is exactly the exploration that I need. Because what is the point of having this big emotional moment if you don't actually explore how it has changed your characters and changed the status quo? Peter gets shipped off to middle of nowhere small town to investigate the disappearance of some small girls, which may be related to fairy kidnappings. I am a small town girl, and that feeling of everyone knowing everyone and one thing shaking the community, yes. And then Peter coming into that community and not knowing anyone and having this feeling even more stretched out of being an outsider and not fitting in, but then his natural charisma letting him make friends anyway, it was just showing off the strengths and weaknesses of this character. So you're there in Peter's shoes, feeling the betrayal because you cared about this relationship between Peter and Leslie too, feeling the sudden change of setting and sudden change of pace in policing, because now he's in this unfamiliar environment, just trying to help out, trying to fit in, and trying to grieve. Yes is all the way down. And we see how much this affects him, because throughout the entire series, whenever he's encountered something in the policing that he doesn't know how to handle, he asks himself, what would Leslie do? because he knows that Leslie is a more competent copper than he is. So now, when he's out of his depth in this new environment, he's still asking himself, what would Leslie do? And then the answer that his pessimistic consciousness gives back to him is, betray me. He just can't get away from it. He just can't catch a break. And every time he'd ask, what would Leslie do? And sometimes even come up with good answers because of it, my heart broke for him again. And the way that this excessive heartbreaking is an exploration of Peter's character traits, even juicier. Because throughout this entire series, Peter has been pretty good at just accepting things and moving on. Okay, magic is real, got it. There's a ghost, got it. There's a demon, got it. Whatever. And then this is a thing that's a little bit harder to swallow, but he's still trying to take it in stride and just move on. And it's just not working as well because it's so much bigger emotionally. And there's a little bit of delving into his character here where he admits that he just wants to move on because it's not like he can do anything about any of it. It's not like he can do something about the existence of magic or the fact that Leslie has now betrayed him. It's just time to move on because there's no use of getting angry about it. People will just look down on him for getting angry about something. There's nothing good that will come of it. And this insistence to move on, though it has been healthy in the past, becomes less healthy when it's something that he actually needs to find and make his peace with, like this betrayal. So this whole arc has been building from book 1 through book 5 of the relationship of Leslie and Peter building up and then crashing down and this falling action in book 5. It was honestly one of the most fulfilling arcs I've ever read. I got so invested in it and I loved all of the beats. Nearly all of the beats. But now we must talk about Peter's other and more prominent love interest, Beverly Brooke. I mentioned this a little bit in my past video because in book 5, Beverly is in full manipulating form and I grew to like her even less in book 5. So please let me rant to you about this. Beverly Brooke is the spirit of a small river in South London. She and Peter met in book 1, had some flirting, but then in book 5, they're really getting to full dating stage. Peter had cold feet for a while because he's like, do I really want to date a supernatural entity? Maybe this could end badly. And then I said, yes, Peter, it really could. And then he's doing it anyway. So yes, Peter is a dum-dum. We can move on. But the reason I really dislike Beverly is because I don't like their pairing. I don't think that Beverly really appreciates or respects Peter because of the way that she acts around him. Peter likes and respects Beverly, okay, but it isn't reciprocal. Not really. Let us take the event that happens in book 5, which drove me insane, as our main piece of evidence. Beverly follows Peter to middle of nowhereville town, and while they are there, she's like, hey, let's make love in this little river over here. And Peter is like, is the river spirit home? And she's like, no problem. And then she might even use some magic manipulation on him. I'll get into that in a minute. And then they make love in the river, and then afterwards, it comes out, she doesn't even want to tell him, but it does come out, that the deity, entity, spirit of this river had been dead for a while, and it needed a little bit of romantic spark to get it reborn, because she knows that if he knew, he might have objected. He says that even if he did know, he wouldn't have, but that's not the point. The point is that this is important information that Peter should give consent for. She's using his body and his magic to birth something. It feels like really the kind of thing that you don't just manipulate your partner into doing. This is the kind of thing that if you are respectful of your partner, you make it a decision that you both make. Because she isn't treating Peter like a full partner, she's just treating him as a way to get what she wants. Does she really want this river to have a spirit? Yes, but her main motivation for doing it is because she's in debt to a different river who wants it. And this is a way to repay her debt. So it's even another level that she's not even doing it for her. She's doing it for all these political games. And she's just using Peter as a tool in this. And if she had her way, he wouldn't have even found out about it. That does not seem like an awesome relationship. It seems like a relationship that is going to crash and burn because Beverly is not right for Peter. I think these games that she's playing with him just shows that she's not ready to be in a serious relationship like Peter wants to be. And yes, they make each other happy, and Peter's in love, and good for him, but I just can't ship them. And I shipped them even less here after book 5. I didn't ship Leslie and Peter anymore at this point either because betrayal and stuff, so I guess I'm just settling for no one. And another level of how this relationship has just so many red flags, Beverly also has the power to manipulate people's minds and emotions and give them orders. And Peter thinks that he can tell when someone is doing this to him and resist it. But do we even know for sure? Maybe he's not catching all the times that Beverly's doing this to him. And Beverly's just always casually mind-controlling people, and even if Peter objects, she just keeps on doing it because she doesn't care. Because Beverly isn't really a good person. She has some good traits. She's not caring about Peter's boundaries. She's not caring about getting his consent. She's not caring about making him an equal partner in their relationship and how they spend their magical energy. But I know that they're still together, and I should probably just accept it and get over it, but it's just... I just really don't like them as a couple, mostly just because I don't feel like Beverly is trustworthy or good for Peter, and I care about Peter too much to see him get in this kind of relationship. But, that being said, I do like the idea that Peter is now kind of the father of a river spirit, because Peter would make such a great father. He has a lot of great fatherly traits. We even see this with him really taking care of and being protective of his cousin Abigail. So I really hope that this river spirit becomes a character that Peter can mentor and be a father figure too, because I would like that plot. And though this series isn't in your face about it, it is a series that's kind of about fatherhood. Both Nightingale, Peter's boss, and Lord Grant, Peter's father, are father figures to him. And in the series, they've both gone through these background transformations of slowly becoming a better and better father figure to Peter. His actual father gets his life turned around, gives up drugs, starts playing music again, and really starts becoming more a part of Peter's life. And likewise with Nightingale, going from the strict teacher, kind of aloof and not answering Peter's questions in book 1, to really his friend and mentor. And Peter taking care of Abigail, taking care of the people that he's protecting in the city of London. And now, kind of a father to a river spirit? Please, I would love seeing Peter in a fatherly role. Nightingale continues to be a fantastic character, and I love the way he's going, of slowly becoming more involved in the narrative, and also more of a friend to Peter. Toby the ghost hunting dog is getting suspiciously smart, and I wonder if he's picking up ambient magic and it's somehow strengthening his brain. I'd be excited to figure that out. An ongoing mystery that I'm very excited to find out the answer to is why are some of these old magicians and wizards aging backwards? This has to be a thing that we're going to explore, right? And in a couple decades, that's going to become a big problem for Nightingale, and how's that going to go? And finally, I'm excited for the Folly to go more international. They have a little bit of experience with an American FBI agent in these books, and I think it'd be fascinating to have a network connecting all of the magic police all over the world, because they need to share some information. This is getting kind of hard. And if you're interested in buying Rivers of London merch, I have designed some Rivers shirts. I love them so much. They are accurate representations of the Thames watershed, and I had to put in a lot of research for it. So if you're enjoying these designs, please go check out my store. There's a link in the description. If you made it to the end of the video, comment with a magic wand emoji. Thank you for watching.